Right, good morning guys, hope you're keeping safe and well wherever you are. Okay, it is an early start for me, and getting back to business, I've got a mid 2017 MacBook Air 13-inch A1466. The symptom of the device is that it'll charge but it will not turn on. Okay, so I have taken the screws off, and basically let's sort of have a look under the microscope and show you what's happened here. There is a burnt out tantalum capacitor. Okay, let's bring it under the microscope, and let me switch over to the microscope. Okay, that's the board number, and the burnt out component is very evident that this is the burnt out component. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, and it's quite obvious. As soon as I took the lid off, it was the smell of a burnt component that was just coming through. I'd probably say beautiful smell of Apple products basically getting burnt out. Absolute. Gloves as well, because I'll be playing with flux, and I always urge and recommend that you sort of utilize gloves as and when necessary. Sadly, the cost of gloves in the UK have gone absolutely frigging bonkers, basically. From £6, £7 box to over £20 basically, which is just bonkers. That's all I can say. So I'm going to utilize every bit of gloves that I have, even if they're slightly tear, as long as there's no tear on the fingers. That's perfectly fine. So yeah, okay, so let's get on with this now. Okay, so this capacitor here, what you can actually see, this one, let me grab a tweezer. This one, obviously you can see the one I'm on about, but that one, okay, that's burnt out. Now what is this responsible? Okay, this is a part of the circuit. Let me go on to the schematic. Okay, this is a part of the circuit that the U7501 controls basically, and the capacitor is situated here. Let me zoom in a little bit more, and it's a C7582. Okay, thanks to Paul Daniels' board view software. Let me sort of get in this. This is the orientation of the board, and if you look closely here, this capacitor, the ground, and that is the PP Boss S5 iSense, whatever it is basically. That's the bit. So let's go back onto the schematic. Okay, now lower this down so you can see a little bit better. Yes, I'm listening into background music. You won't be able to see because thanks to all the filtering what I've enabled basically. So right, okay, let's sort of let's do something here. Okay, the U7501 is responsible for the 5 volt and 3.3 volt rail basically. So it's a buck converter for the PP3V3 underscore S5 PP5V underscore S4 power rails, and also the LDO for the PP5V underscore S5 rail. So if those rails aren't present, obviously the MacBook will not start. And I'm going to try and sort of call MacBook and not laptop, because majority of my work is based on the MacBook. Did I say laptop? Sorry. And I do get MacBooks basically to repair So that's that. Let me sort of that. Do I need to? No, I'll keep that up. Okay. All right, I'll keep that up. No problem. That's what I'll do. Stop messing around. Right, okay. Stop messing around. Stay focused. Stay focused. Right. Okay. I've not taken the logic board out because I will be using a smart tweezer to sort of remove the component. Let me go under microscope. Right. So first thing first is at the. Let's turn on this beast, which is the MX 5000 series soldering station, and I shall also untangle my smart tweezer. I sort of do a few little things that I should have actually done before even starting this video, but hey, these things happen. We're human. Right, so first thing first is I'm going to apply a bit of flux. Just hang in there for me. Okay, so let's get down to business now. This OBS is absolutely friggin' amazing. What a cracking software that these guys have developed. Absolutely friggin' amazing. Tiny amounts of flux. There's no need for an enormous amount. I turn the extractor fan on and I'm going to apply low melt solder. Right, let me put my glasses on because I am a blind man. This is literally very low melt solder basically, and I bought 1 kg, so 500 gram, 2 reel basically. If this was Lewis, he would have stripped the shit out of that capacitor. Absolutely like the guy. And I appreciate him passing a lot of recommendation. And always got to thank Paul Daniel for doing the board view software. Now I'm still using the older version. Maybe I should invest on his latest Flex View, but we'll see. Right, so I'm going to use my smart tweezer. Let's enable the smart tweezer. Let me show you what I'm using. That's what I'm using, the Talon. Yeah, I was talking about this tape. I'm going to use every bit of gloves I have here, as long as the fingertips are not tear. I don't want to be making any contact with flux and anything like this. But anyway, this is the Talon handpiece for the Metcal 500 and 5000 series, basically. Okay, let's get back to the microscope. Grab a set of tweezers. Not cool. Go. And okay, I hope it's not soldered to the board. I hope it's not, but I'm going to hold on to it until it shifts. I may consider applying a bit more solder. Unless the board needs to come out. Woo. It's lifted one side, but the other side is 4K. The other side is just bloody hell. Wow! Right, I think the tweezer's done his job. Right, okay. I'm gonna get a beast tip on. Something that will just rip the crap out of that remaining bit left on that. Okay, again, let me, what I'm using, this is the reworks soldering station I have here, the 5000 series. Okay, just try to put it back. Yeah, I've come back into its position. Okay, and let's we can get rid of this thing. This tip is very powerful, absolutely. If I show you the collection of Metcal tip I have, you'd probably think I'm an absolute madman. I collected an enormous amount of tip basically over the course of last couple of years basically, so wow, that to my mind is just welded to the board basically. So there we go, but nothing's stopping this beast taking you out, mate. Absolutely nothing, mate. So let's sort of use my, okay, and let's get rid of this capacitor. Keep that for souvenir. Clean these pads, and then I'll run a diode test just to make sure that the rail is not shorted. Right. So let's get to the center. Make sure that I'm not pinching anything else off alongside it, so just bend the alright, so I think that's fair clean. Let's put this back. Let's clean the surface with IPA 100% and cotton bud. So probably the residue from the actual flux. There's a lot of focus in it. To leave any residue. Once I'm done with this, give it a good clean. See what's going on here. So this, right, turn this extractor fan off because the filtering, I'm not quite sure why it's sort of makes this hissing noise when the filters are unable, but let's just get this out. And let's leave things uncleaned. Get rid of that. Oops. Just knocking things around. It's a small room, and give it a good clean after. Right, let's run a diode test on the device and on the board. Let me unlock that. Let me unlock this and then. Sadly, right, okay, let's see if this is. Right, I'm gone. That's C93, that's the. So, okay, let's see if that would allow me to. Right, no, okay, sorry, I was trying to sort of make some changes. Right, okay, so you can just about see in the top right hand corner of this screen, basically, but sadly I try to increase the size of that and it won't allow me to do that. But anyway, hence that's not the issue. Let's put this on a diode mode, red probe on the ground. Okay, and oops, can't even see a damn thing. Yeah, you probably gathered the amount of stuff I have on this bench is just far beyond belief. Red probe on the ground, and let's. Right, so let's go on to microscope and I'll show you where it's beeping and all that business, basically. So that's your ground. I'll confirm that for you now. Let's the board view. Okay. So pin 2 is ground and pin 1 is. So that's your pin 1 and that's your pin 2. And I'll show you that on the actual BenQ. There we go. Okay. So remember, the orientation of the board is like this. That's the orientation of the board. And there is no short. The short has now been removed. Okay, so let's do that. And you will have to bear with me, as I said. This is just a new setup that I've done, so I'm just still getting used to it with it. Okay, so that's your ground pad. That is that which is the pin 2, and that's your pin 1, which is that goes into the appropriate rail, which is the ppbus underscore S5 underscore HS underscore other underscore ISNS. Right, okay, so what's next? Next thing to do is I've got a donor board. Let me put this to a side for a second. I want to drop it. I drop this, I'll be sending myself to a costly repair. Okay, this is the donor board. It's a different board, which is the 820. I think it's 30. No, it's 820. Have I got the right board? No, it's the wrong board I've got. Sorry, it's this one. That one. I got the wrong board before then. Okay, that's an 820 3437B. And it's the same, I think it's a 2014 Macbook. Go. All right. Okay, so let's remove the component. Let's turn the board into its. Where is it now? Yeah. So I'll be taking this off the second one on the left. That'll be this one. I can take any of them. The values are going to be the same. The NEWAV7 is a 63 microfarad. Let me confirm that for you. 63 microfarad. No, 62 microfarad. Sorry, 62 microfarad tantalum capacitor, 11 volts. And that is. I've ordered quite a handful of them from AliExpress now. And just because of this repair, I had to get this donor board. But I'll have a handful of those capacitors lying around. Okay, so what's next? Next thing to do is to I'm going to apply. Let's switch the. I'm going to apply flux. Okay, Ideally I could use a hot air to remove this, but is that necessary? No. Because these Metcal, they're bloody... They induce a lot of heat into these components, and I'm just wondering whether it's worth using the hot air to remove this. But let me apply a bit of low melt solder first, and we'll decide accordingly what we're doing with it. Okay. Around. Probably end up being taken away. I've got some bigger tips for the thingy, so that can penetrate a lot more heat. Take off this basically. Yeah, I'm probably going to utilize them basically. So I'll show you what I mean by this. Whew, those are hot. Those are hot. Let me switch over to the something like this. If I wasn't recording 10 minutes, less than less than that. Get it done, get it over, and that's the end of it. But when you're recording and you're moving backwards and forwards with everything, like this. So these are bigger, and they'll induce a lot more power, a lot quickly. But again, I'm just in a bit of a mixed debate to sort of whether to use hot air to remove the cap, basically. Because I'm just a bit concerned about these smart tweezers, basically, if they're gonna damage the capacitor. Yeah, I'm gonna use hot air actually, so just bear with me. Now, it will get noisy. Oops. Power this on. I'm using a Metcal HTC 800 series, I believe. Let's preheat the board a little bit. Move this a little bit forward. Right, let's start preheating this a little bit. It's always handy to have donor boards. Absolutely handy to have it. A bit more flux. Pick this board up for me. It's virtually next to nothing. Alright, so I'm going to go in for the kill. Let's go for a nice tweezer. Put this shitty tweezer back in its place. Yep, okay. Brilliant. Let's get this. turn off all these extractor fan. There'll be a noise on the background for about a minute or two. Right, so that's the capacitor that we've taken off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to test this capacitor, whether that's viable through the ESM tester I have. I don't know, but we'll find out. Now, most of you turn around and say, just put it on and get it done and over with, but how do we know that this capacitor is good? Hey? Can anybody give me any sort of a... guarantee on that? I'm getting there for... Right, sorry, I got a bit disrupted by something, so I play around with this. Okay, so giving it... Right, let's jump to check something. Not on a diet mode, come on. All right, so I'm getting let's see. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, the readings are pretty sweet. Let me sort of show you what's going on. Let's turn this onto I regret. Let's go on that. Okay, so yeah, you can just about see on the top right hand corner. Now I will put my probe on and see what it's reading. Let's see. Hold it there for a bit longer than that. Now remember, there is a plus, I believe it's about plus 20%, plus or minus 20% on the tolerance of the capacitor. Okay. Now the important thing that the microfarad, you might get the right reading, but how do you know that the capacitor itself, the ESR and all this bullshit, whatever it is all cool? So what I'm going to do is it might be just a capacitor that we're replacing, but I don't want to be wasting my time, basically. So this is what I have. Let's see if this would allow me to test. Okay, do I? I would have thought that I had the sort of yeah, peak analysis. That's that, and it's looking. It says monitoring for components. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably take it off. Okay, that was because the plating underneath is conductive, and that's why it was sort of making a contact. Just find a piece of paper underneath that I can put. Let's put this piece of paper. Let's do another measurements on this. Right, and okay, and let's check this. Oops, it went off. Can I fit this under the microscope so you can see what's going on? Maybe I can. Right, so let's I can always put that on top. Power this on. Right, I'm gonna at the maximum I can. Oh, of course I can. Beautiful. So let's measure this component and see what's going on. go off in a bit if I don't. All right, so I'll do it the other way as well. All right, let's one more time. Absolutely satisfied that this capacitor is not a duff capacitor, what we're going to be putting on. So let's put that to the side. Let's get rid of this. Yes, it's a handy bit of tool, and I've got another. There's two of them: the DCA Pro and the ESR Atlas ESR Plus version in that toolkit. What I got from Atlas, Peak Atlas from Buxton in the UK. Absolutely cracking guy. I got a case for free, which is roughly about 15-16 quid. That was way before the lockdown. I drove down there and picked it up, so it's in a nice little case. I do recommend anybody that's doing a job seriously need one of them, basically. Right, so let's get rid of this and let's crack on with the board repair now, because I think the video's going way too long than I initially anticipated. Right, so let's sort of bring this in view. It's the missing capacitor. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's apply box, and ideally the best way of applying this is with the hot air, basically, but because I've not taken the logic board out, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So let's okay, okay, got it. No, keep to this actually. Let's turn the extractor fan on. Going to orientate the board subject to the comfort of my own. Clean the tip. Okay, that's nice and clean. Let's get me leaded SN 6337 solder, which is leaded solder. Absolutely love using that. And just get into full view. Let's go. In fact, what I'll do, there's a bit of a capacitor's raised on this side a little bit, as you probably just about see. So I'm going to attempt to solder it from this end. What I can do actually is okay now. Right, give me a sec. I don't want to be inhaling all this shit, basically, so I'm going to put by. I've been in a garage yesterday, and sadly, let's yeah, I've been inhaling a lot of diesel fume, so my tongue started becoming had a bit weird tastes, basically. So just chatting or yapping away with one of my mates in his garage, basically. Right, so I believe that should do the job. The only reason why I'm using this tip is that this tip is quite powerful. Okay, I'll probably change my tip and go into the pocket, the conical one. Three seconds. 3 seconds. All right. Let's get rid of this fume that's coming out of this tip first. For cleaning it and putting it up. Right. Okay. Turn this wrap off. Move this out of the way. I can now take my mask off. I can breathe a little bit better. Let's clean this area before it gets cold, so it's easier to remove flux residue. Yeah, I've got a music running on the background, and obviously because of the filtering enabled, it's not gonna, you won't be able to hear it. Otherwise, I'll get YouTube strike, and obviously the monetization's been disabled on my YouTube channel, sadly. But I don't expect to sort of live off with that. And no disrespect to anybody that does that. Is you know, that's it's not my. I just don't give a monkey if they you know what they've done, basically, just because I had a couple of copyright strike on bloody stupid things, basically. So okay, so that's okay, but I'm still going to sort of give it a good clean. Okay, so where's the thing? The way I do that is just putting a bloody towel over that, just to, I can use my hand, whatever it is, just it does do a really good cleaning, actually, that method. Wait for it to just naturally dry out. Obviously I couldn't get in there, so I'm going to get me toothbrush now. Oh, fuck's sake. I hate when this happens. There's nothing that cleans better than the toothpaste. Toothbrush. You get a proper clean with that, basically. I hope he hasn't taken down the U75 7501 one that's part of the circuit due to the shorted capacitor. If it is, then probably I'm just an absolute nutter. I just want to make sure that the cleaning is done. I'm satisfied. Okay, I'm happy. everyone else is going to be happy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I think that's good enough. That there is a bit of a residue on this side, and interestingly enough, I don't think that's flux, but we'll find out soon. Is it flux? This one might be, or it might be alcohol. Anyway, that's as good as it's going to be. To make sure that everything's right, and also control. Yep, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's turn off all these stations and this and that. Let's put them back so I can create a bit more space for myself. Okay, so I should be pausing the video just so that you're probably thinking that I'm an ass taking that long to replace a tantalum capacitor. Listen, I'm telling you, it's just only a couple of minutes job to do that basically, but because I'm recording and all that business, constantly moving backwards and forwards with and shifting things around, it's taking me time. And again, with this OBS and this new setup I have, okay, I'm still getting used to it basically. So that's okay. So what we're going to do now is that an original MacBook charger? It is, looks like it. I'm going to still sort of let's plug this in somewhere where I've got to. You know, I don't know if this microscope's going to fail. Let me just connect the power cord onto it. Just give me one sec because I don't. Okay. So that then reassures that the microscope is kept powered. Now let's do that. All right, so let's bring the MacBook over. Do I get a fan spin? Let's see. Oh, happy with that. Let's need this to be plugged in somewhere. Where can I plug this in? I'll probably take the light off the microscope because there's no need for that. Okay. Open the lid and the light. See a fan spin. Yes, the famous Louis Rossman say we have a fan spin. All right, we have a display. Hopefully, there's no display. Right, so that's on the next level of troubleshooting. I hope they've not busted something off. So we'll find out what's going on. Nothing on the screen. That falls onto a different part of repair. Right, my apologies. It's my stupidity that there won't be any display because I actually took the PCIe solid state disk drive out basically, but we have a question mark. All right. I was thinking that fan spin chime, what's going on? Because that has nothing to do with the backlight circuit basically, or the image. But yeah, it chimes. Question marks coming up. I know it's working. Great achievement. Now, power this off. I don't like to sort of pull out the. Okay, MagSafe. They must have had some sort of a surge of some sort. And these tantalum capacitors are very, very prone to failure. They're no surprise to me, hand on heart, basically. They do fail. So I am actually going to boot onto this MacBook with an external hard drive. Obviously the customer may have the password, so I'm not going to put that in as of yet. Let me sort of get myself an external hard drive. Oops. Watch back on. Just bear with me. Right. 45 minutes of battery in. 45 minutes on a MacBook repair. Is replacing a tantalum capacitor. Wow. That's going to be very kind of efficient work for me. Right, I'm going to turn this microscope off because there's no need for that. You know what took me by surprise? That when you look at how battered this cable is, absolutely, it was totally annihilated basically. Somebody, I can't even believe that somebody's been twisting this for that sort of yeah, right, okay. Spin. I should hear a chime. Okay, then I will get options for the boot. Now obviously I'm running in boot of that. A external hard drive, so that this will take a bit long, so please bear with me. Just want to test iOS and just make sure that the battery is recognizing the battery and is charging before sort of putting everything back together and let the customer have the unit back. Now, talking about these tantalum capacitors, that they're not sort of widely available, even from UK suppliers. So it's something that is very specific to Apple. You can't find them on any other board unless you have a specific board that I have here, like the MacBook A1466 from 2014 onwards. Basically, you will find plenty of them on the board. Beside that, jump on AliExpress and grab them. Now, sadly, the downside is that you don't know who the manufacturer is and what sort of quality those tantalum capacitors are. But that's something that, you know, it's a bit of a disappointment. But the other thing is, when you're ordering stuff off Final UK, they've got a handling charge of £9.99. So whether you're ordering a capacitor that's only worth about 2 pence, you're still having to pay that surcharge, and it doesn't make any sense. So no, I spend a silly amount of money on things, but I don't like to spend or pay for things that I'm going to get ripped off, and I believe that's just a fucking rip off basically. When you look at my workshop, I don't compromise on anything. Look at all this stuff here. They're just expensive stuff basically. They're not cheap stuff on the bench. Right, you know, you get the message, right? So, but I'm not one of them that just stupid enough to pay silly amount of money on certain things. So, right, okay, we're on the iOS. Shouldn't be a password on that. Just wait for it to load up. So I've got 55% on the battery. All right, I'm gonna leave it on plugged in for a few minutes, and let's see what happens. Jumps to 56, but in the meantime, I will pause the video. This completely unnecessary to drag this any longer than it's already gone. So I'll let's see what happens. Right, people. The battery's not charging. Now, obviously, the short that was on the actual U7501 is not part of the charging circuit, basically. And the reason why I said that the battery's not charging, when I flicked off the lead from the side, the MagSafe, the MacBook just went flying off basically. So let me sort of I've checked the voltages. The 8 point, let me just sort of show you actually. Let's get this here. All right, let's see if I get the light on. Where's my ground probe? Oi, stop trolling me. Right, okay, let's put this on ground. The pin 1, 2 and 3 is your, hang on, I'm not making a good connection on the ground. Right, that's what I'm getting out of the battery. Okay, so the battery is actually sort of, let's take this battery out. Should be 8 point. I hope it hasn't taken the line down. 8.59. Okay, 8.59. Let's just wait for it to stabilize. 8.59. Right, okay, there's no short to ground on that, on those lines basically. Now when I plug the battery back in, let me show you under the battery. It detects the battery, but fucking hell, this sorry, swearing, but this is just, this MacBook's been battered basically, right? So let's reopen this. Get a thingy, system report. I do have a separate app for the battery. I'd probably download this as well. Okay, and when you look here, it's only had 445 charge cycles. You can see that. And it's not taking any amperage, and it says replace now, the condition. So that's something that I'm going to build in addition to the board repair. But that's sadly that the battery's knackered, and it's no surprise what the customer may have been doing is they've literally left the MacBook running on the lead 24/7, and I think that's what's happened here basically. I'm just trying to think of that software that I downloaded for the battery. Coconut something is called. Yeah. Let's have a Coconut battery for MacBook. Yes, please. And, you know, I really appreciate these guys developing these softwares, like the fan speed controller and whatever. You know, absolutely amazing. You know, they take a lot of time doing what they do. So okay, yeah, so you can see it here as well that it says battery condition is poor, although they're showing a well, full charge capacity is half of its capacity. So sadly that battery needs replacing. I'll be having a word with the customer and we'll take it from there. So that's all. Just to recap what's gone on, let's have a quick thingy. Let's go into the BenQ screen. Just to recap what's gone on, the line that creates the 3.3 volt and the 5 volt here. Okay, we had a short on this capacitor, which is a common capacitor, tantalum capacitor, that does blow quite. It's a common problem, that, from my understanding, which is a C7582. That's located on the board. Let's have a look. It's this one. So that's the orientation of the board. So if your CPU, your PCI, SSD facing up this way, and that's your Wi-Fi card. And on that side, this is this side of the cap. Actually, it was the ground side actually that was blowing up. From my understanding, let me just confirm that. Yes, it was the ground side that was actually blowing up, but nonetheless the capacitor was blown. pocket where the ground or whatever it is, it got busted. So yeah, that's all. I'm going to order a new battery, and we'll take it from there. If there is any troll on the charging circuit, then obviously I will upload the video and do the repair. But at the moment, the bench power supply is only drawing 3. Let me see if I can get to the other screen. Microscope, Logitech. Let's go back. It's only drawing. I don't know if I can show you this, guys, but sadly, I don't know. Yeah, there you go. That's what it's drawing. Yeah. With the battery being connected. Okay. So that's that. Anyway, guys, it's already been an hour. Take care, look after yourself, and I'll catch up with you in the next video. Bye for now.